coming back at you again, and we gonna give you the facts. Today we're gonna talk about the Ball brothers. We're gonna talk about some basketball. We gotta go past the surface, past the Lavar interviews, past the hype, and get into the facts, which the world doesn't know. So, what I'm about to get into will make some of y'all mad. So I apologize in advance if these facts offend you. But here at Ball Facts, it's not our job to worry about your feelings. We're here to give you the facts. So let's go. When LaMelo was born, Lavar knew he had the final piece to his puzzle. He had two boys already and needed one more. His master plan that he thought about since his days in South Central LA were beginning to manifest. Lavar couldn't wait to see his boys' bodies fill out so he could behold what type of men they would be. You know, he married a tall, athletic woman, so what would their build and stature be? And while he wouldn't totally know what it would be till later, he saw glimpses of their special talent in each, as well as signs of their physical ability. He saw LiAngelo was a little stockier than the others. He wasn't afraid. He saw LaMelo was unpredictable and free. He noticed Lonzo's stoicness, yet his ability for friendship. So he peeped their personalities straight from the get-go. He knew how each would suit them in the world of sports. From babies, he watched them close. Lavar was always able to tell when something was wrong with his sons because he knew when something was right. He raised them close at home and close at the gym. And when he chastised one, he did it in front of the others. When he trained one son, he trained with all of them. He let nothing separate his sons, not even age. He didn't care that LaMelo was younger and smaller. He insisted that he train with his older brothers and even play in official games with his brothers. They all worked hard together. They all played hard together. Lavar gave them something that they would have even when he was gone, and that is each other. While all the brothers, they have different personalities, but they've been through basically the same thing, same parents, same household. So at the same time, they developed an understanding of one another. It's kind of comparable to a band of brothers in the Marine Corps. Marines are united by like a live together, die together mentality. They develop it with crazy, rigorous training and in crazy situations in war. But the Ball brothers, they also have a blood bond as well as the bond of comrades. When you're up at 7 a.m. in the morning and most kids are watching Saturday morning cartoons, they're running. There's sweat running down your face. You're feeling exhausted. You see another hill. You feel like stopping. At that point, your mind's your enemy when you're training like that. And then suddenly, you look to your left, you look to your right, and there your brothers are. And now you feel as if your legs are moving off their strength. You're not alone. You can do it. And repeat this for years. Now you enjoy it. Now you can't wait to run with your brothers. Now you're in a basketball gym for a game that your dad set up against older competition to make you better. You walk in with your little bitty backpack, smiling, and you bump into a kid. Your head is at his chin. You say, my bad. Then you look up and notice this kid is on the team you're going against. And then you look at the rest of his team. They're all giants. And you almost want to say this isn't fair. But then you look behind you. Who's following? Your brothers. And then we got this. And as time went on, these little kids grew. And you could start to tell Lavar's plan to give them height was not going to be in vain. But playing against such older competition, they still appeared small and outsized. Two of his sons developed funny shots because at such small sizes going against bigger competition, they had to shape their form, the shooting form, in a way that gave them more strength and also avoided getting blocked. With the middle son's strength, LiAngelo, he didn't have to adopt a peculiar shot. He avoided that because he was so strong. But as the boys played, their roles became more evident. Lonzo was the directing general. LiAngelo was the brute force sharpshooter. And LaMelo was the deceivingly good reinforcement. And these pieces moved around each other flawlessly, interchangeably, like three sections of hair in a braid. They weaved back and forth on the court almost methodically, never losing focus or stepping out of their roles. People had never seen interaction like that on a court. If one brother was missing shots, the other two never got mad, clapped their hands and said, man, pass the ball. If one got a turnover, they weren't tripping, the others didn't notice. When one brother was hot, the other brothers seen it and they would feed him without thinking about, what about my shots? When they played together, no one had seen anything like it. It was like three were one. No jealousy, no ball hogging, no division. And Lavar sat back and enjoyed the spoils of his plan and execution. A perfect season of 35-0. but people were noticing the boy's imperfections as well. LaMelo's shot looked funny and he just took questionable shots. Lonzo didn't have much of a mid-range game and his shot looked too much far left as he went up. LiAngelo's handles were limited and he relied on his brothers to bail him out so many times because of it. But even with the noticeable flaws, the basketball scout world could not look past 35-0, that record. So they seen Lonzo's passing ability, his court vision, his athleticism as supreme because he was leading that team. But, as far as LiAngelo, they seen a D1 bench player that would probably need all 4 years in college to potentially get a bench role in the NBA. That's how they seen Jello. And they seen LaMelo as having, a very high potential, but it was too early to say definitively. And as the national spotlight shifted to the Ball family because of Lonzo's high draft stock, we began to hear from Lavar, the outspoken father who wasn't shy about his opinions whenever he was in front of a reporter. He would boast about his sons. He said, they were each a one and done college player. They were the best thing since sliced bread, but he always had a slight twist. He always had an additive. He would say one ball is great, but all three is unbelievable. Or he would say unbelievable. And all three of his sons together on an NBA team was his goal. See, when only Lonzo and Jello were in high school, without LaMelo, Lonzo averaged 25 points, 11 assists, and 9 rebounds, almost a triple-double. And LiAngelo was still dropping 30-point games back then, but they still could not win a championship. Then in 2015, Lavar took his scrawny little 8th grader, LaMelo Ball, and moved him up a grade to join his brothers. During that season, Lonzo's point average dropped some, but his assists went up and he got the coveted triple-double average. LiAngelo was now averaging, instead of dropping 30 points, he was averaging 30 points. And, the world got our first encounter with LaMelo, the goofy little brother who had the heart of a lion on the court, refusing to let his size be an excuse, and contributed immediately as soon as he came into high school. They went undefeated and they had games that were close to losing, but somehow all three brothers found a will to win, to never lose. And people began to be critical of the team and say it was a fluke along the way, but they would go on to beat better and better competition. And as they beat them, the critics started releasing their doubts and crowning them the unbeatable #1 Chino Hills. So after that season, the brothers were split up again, Lonzo to UCLA and LaMelo and LiAngelo to Chino Hills. And now that Lonzo was gone, Chino Hills' #1 rank dropped to number 12. But the two brothers still did well. LiAngelo's scoring, to our disbelief, went even higher. And with Lonzo gone, LaMelo was given the keys to the point guard position. And his stats were raised as well. But they were not just good enough. With the season ending in a still impressive 30-3 record, they got no championship. And when asked what UCLA would do with Lonzo on their team, Lavar would say, "Oh, championship, baby. That's what's going to happen there." But the combination of Tina Stroke and De'Aaron Fox made those dreams never come to pass. Lonzo looked distracted in the tournament game. The close-knit family that he knew was always watching his game, whether by courtside or by TV, were now at the bedside of an ailing mother fighting for her life. And the game of basketball didn't seem as important. See, when things were rough or hard for the boys on the court in the past, they could look left and right and see each other. And that was enough to keep going. But for the first time on a stage this big, Lonzo's brothers were gone and he had no one to lean on and to share his burden, just him and the thoughts of his mom while trying to win a basketball game. This goes back to Lavar teaching his sons the importance of family, telling his boys they could depend on each other. Lavar kept the boys so close together that unknowingly they developed more dependencies on each other than even they were aware of or would have expected or seen coming. Their chemistry was exceptionally crazy, molding one brother's weakness into the other's strength. When LaMelo would fail defensively and a player went by him, Lonzo all of a sudden would gain a block on the stat line, come up from behind and get a block. When LiAngelo would get trapped with the ball, LaMelo would get an easy cutting bucket. When Lonzo missed a mid-range shot, it turned into LiAngelo getting a rebound, then a step back three. But their chemistry went even past a sports team's camaraderie and working together type of win thing. The boys had developed every aspect of their games around each other. The way they played was as one, not one team, but as one person. They were like the Power Rangers. They could all fight separately, pretty good, but they weren't going to beat any monster or the big boss alone. But when they got in that robot together, it was over. Just like Voltron. The Ball brothers, they're literally like Captain Planet. They have different strengths and flaws, but when you put them together, they were the complete package of defense, hustle, shooting, layups, passing, everything you needed working together as one. Captain Planet, Earth, Wind, Water, Fire, Heart. See, LeBron, when he was at his school, I think it was St. Mary's, was crazy. It was crazy because everyone was like, this kid is great. He's good at everything. He can do it all. It was true. And that's why his high school got so much publicity. And that's why LeBron got so much publicity. They were like, he's the next Michael Jordan. Well, the Ball brothers combined were LeBron James and Chino Hills. See, separately, they had too many deficiencies to be considered, or unanimous consensus that one of the Ball brothers is the best player gonna come in ever, this and this and that. They didn't have that because separately they had too many deficiencies, but together they were like LeBron James. They were as dominant as him. They were as dominant. And guess what? Lavar noticed it. It was too late to do anything by the time he noticed it, but he raised them to be great together and only good by themselves. And as the Ball brothers scrambled to collect pieces of the game that they're missing due to depending on each other, Lavar is saying, why not just put the pieces back together? Okay, what's done is done. We can't go back. But why keep a LeBron caliber player out of the league? Why keep a Kobe out of the league? Just put these boys on the same team. Just put these boys on the floor together. And then Lavar's like, I can finally sit down. He's the only one who knows and is trying his best to make this happen so the world can see how great they are. They are. See, a lot of people tell me about the GQ magazine interview when Lavar said one of his sons won't make it and it would probably be LiAngelo. But what he was really saying is separately. Jello would be the one goes unnoticed if they get looked at separately, because if you split them up, Jello is the one who can't create his shot off the dribble. But Lonzo has trouble with it too. He was so used to passing the ball up the court, depending on Jello to draw a double team, and then beating a recovering defender with a first step or passing to a cutting teammate. But anyway, Jello would be the most exposed without his brothers by his side. See, with LaMelo and Lonzo, it would take you longer to notice that they miss key things in their games. And I'm in support of the boys developing their entire game. So I'm glad that all three are training separately to be great all by themselves. But like Lavar, I'm in support of letting Captain Planet into the league. Because once they are reunited, instinct will take over, resulting in instant offense. Plus, they all will have filled in some of the gaps they have missing. The secret is Lonzo, LiAngelo, and LaMelo are all good players, but they're only great players when they're together. Because that is how they were raised. That is how they were trained. That is how they were built. They are trying to be great players on their own now, but they have areas in their game that have always lacked. So it will take longer than people even think it will to develop those areas. It's like starting from scratch in certain areas. And Lavar knows it and wants to reunite them so that as they work on those areas, they can win in the meantime. And so they don't lose their stock and type of player they are, lose their credibility, even lose NBA jobs. And this happening was never Lavar's intention. It just happened. And this is why Lavar is working tirelessly to get them on one NBA team. Because nothing he has said will make sense until it does happen. People will just think he's crazy. People will continue to say his sons aren't good. People are going to keep doing this. So go ahead and do it in the comment section. All you guys, go ahead. But when they all get on the same team, hindsight will be 20/20. Everything will make sense. People will understand why Lavar is pushing for LiAngelo to join Lonzo. And to people who don't know this secret to be true, we can't blame them. They will have to remain haters and disbelievers until they see three boys in the backyard all over again, just being themselves, comfortable together, but only on an NBA court. So until that day that we can see this happen, we'll just have to wait patiently as the boys struggle separately to become great players on their own, and hope the best and keep the faith that we will see the Ball brothers fighting for an NBA championship together one day in the fourth quarter, down by 3, and them just looking at each other like we know what to do. We've been here before. Ball facts again. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Peace.